S.S.S. Balak, Tov Shin Pei Hey. But also we need to know that aside from this Shabbos, the Parsha of this week, the Parsha of this Shabbos, this Sunday will be Nesivos Tammuz, the fast of the 17th of Tammuz. And Chazal tell us regarding Yom Tovim during the year that Shoyalin V'Dorshin B'Hilchas HaMoyed, that everybody has to know that before Yom Tiv comes, we have to prepare for the Yom Tiv. We have to know the halachos, we have to learn the halachos, and really included in this is that whenever any special time comes along in our Jewish calendar, we need to study for it. We have to learn about it. We have to prepare ourselves for the occasion. We can't just have things roll in on us and we don't know what's going on. We have to be prepared. Now, since this Sunday is Nesivos Tammuz, really, the first thing we have to understand, that we're going to speak about that this week. We're going to go off a little bit, not speak about the Parshas HaShavua so much, but really, the number one thing that has to come to our mind before we say anything else about the Tainus of Nesivos Tammuz is that another year has passed since the Churban Beis HaMikdash. Another year. And we're here another year in Golus, and we don't have a Beis HaMikdash. We're not going back to Eretz Yisrael. We're not going back to Yerushalayim. We don't have Mashiach bringing us back. It's another year. And we are now entering the weeks of the Bein HaMitzorim, which is the time between the two fasts, between Nesivos Tammuz and Tisha B'Av. So now that we learned this Maimar Chazal, now that we learned that Shoyalin V'Dorshin B'Hilchas HaMoyed, that we have to learn the halachos, what do we do? What should we be doing now that this Sunday is coming? It's Nesivos Tammuz, another year since the Churban Beis HaMikdash has passed, and we can't be asleep. We have to do something. We have to be prepared. Otherwise, once again, next year we'll be standing in the same place if we don't do anything about it. So really, there are obvious eternal lessons to be learned and lived from the fact that we have a Tainus this Sunday, and we want to try to make sure that next year the same thing does not happen again. So what is this fast? What should it do to us? What should we be thinking about now with a couple of days to Nesivos Tammuz? What should we be thinking about? So Nesivos Shalom tells us it cannot be that we are just mourning and we're crying over something that we once had and is now lost. That can't be it. It can't be that our focus of Nesivos Tammuz is that we once had something. We had a Beis HaMikdash, and now it's lost. It says in Nesivos Shalom that as Yidden, we do not dwell on the past and regret things. We don't do that. We don't just dwell on things. We don't stay upset about things. We don't regret things. We don't dwell on them unless it does something for our current situation and our future. Chazal tell us something very interesting. Chazal say that after 12 months, the pain of someone being nifter, the pain of someone passing away, it gets a bit easier. After 12 months, you pass a certain stage and you're able to a little bit move on, so to speak, in a certain way. After 12 months, the pain gets easier. Yet, just think about what's happening now, next week. The Pasuk in Tehillim tells us, "In Eshkochech Yerushalayim, Tishkach Yemini." And we all think it's just, there's a lot of beautiful songs written to those words. But what those words mean is that Yerushalayim is alive. Yerushalayim is alive for us in a way that we can never, ever forget it. We can't forget Yerushalayim, and the pain is always going to be there. But one second, didn't we just say that when it comes to losing something, after 12 months, the pain is supposed to start to get easier? And yet we see the Pasuk, David HaMelech is telling, the Pasuk in Tehillim is telling us, Im eshkochech Yerushalayim, I can never forget Yerushalayim. If I forget Yerushalayim, I'll forget my right hand. It doesn't happen. The pain of Yerushalayim should never, ever wear off. So why? Why the difference? And what does Yerushalayim hold that the pain stays forever and never goes away? So the Nesivos Shalom wants to teach us, and he does teach us, how we have to look at Churban Beis HaMikdash. And the way we look at Churban Beis HaMikdash is the way we need to approach the next 3 weeks. And says the Nesivos Shalom a very, very important yesod. He says the way we have to look at it when it hits this Sunday, and Shavuos of Tammuz, we know from all the fasts throughout the year that the city was surrounded and they broke into the city and everything leading up to where it culminated on Tisha B'Av. We know that so many things happen, and when we get to Shavuos of Tammuz, what we should be focusing on, says the Nesivos Shalom, is that we refuse to come to terms with the destruction of Yerushalayim. We never stop longing for the rebuilding of Yerushalayim and the Beis HaMikdash. The Kabrina Rav, Zchus V'Yogan Aleinu, tells us, and he says a few different times, in a few different places, the Kabrina Rav says that the worst matzah for a person, you know, people sometimes, you're in a good matzah, you're not such a good matzah. The worst matzah for a person, says the Kabrina Rav, is that when a person resigns and he comes to terms with the situation. As long as you feel that it could get better and we could do something about it, and you could change your matzav, you could change your situation, you're still okay. But once a person says, once you're in that place, once you're there, then you're really stuck. Once you're in that place where you say, you know what, this is it, this is what it is, I can't do anything about it, then you're really stuck. You're not going to go anywhere. The biggest tragedy here is when a Yid comes to terms that there's no Beis HaMikdash. And every one of us has to look in the mirror. Every one of us has to reflect and see ourselves. Is that the way we feel? How many years ago did we come to terms with the fact, listen, we're trying all these years, and when there's no Beis HaMikdash, we're not doing any, it's not going to change. This is the matzah, you know, one day if it changes, that'll be nice, but I'm coming to terms with it. That's something, says the Kabrina Rav, that's the worst situation for a person. When you come to terms with something that really shouldn't be. It needs to bother us. On top of this, Kabrina Rav, the Afteru, Zchus V'Yogan Aleinu, says that you know what has to bother you every single day? People are bothered by things. But you know what bothered the Afteru? The Afteru said every day, you know, you didn't bring a carbon tummin today. You didn't bring one in the morning, and you didn't bring one this afternoon. Does it bother anybody? It might bother you. It bothered you. You couldn't get there to Yisrael for a couple of weeks. A few weeks ago, you couldn't get there to Yisrael. People were stuck. They couldn't make it there to Yisrael. That bothered you. But did it bother you that there was no carbon tummin this morning? That we had no carbon tummin this afternoon? So the Afterov says that the reason why it doesn't bother us is because of what the Kabrina Rav said. I don't know if he said it about the Kabrina Rav, but I'm telling you, this is what the Kabrina Rav, it doesn't bother us because in some way we came to terms with it. We came to terms with it. There was no carbon tummin today. There wasn't one yesterday. There wasn't one a month ago. There wasn't one a year ago. There hasn't been one for almost 2,000 years. And we're getting very close to 2,000 years. So we came to terms with it. We came to terms. It doesn't bother us that much. Every day, 3 times a day, you say in davening, "V'liyushalayim yircha b'rachamim tashuv." Do you mean it? Do you really mean that we want to go back? But if we go back, then we're going back to have a carbon tumid, and that didn't bother you today. So once again, the worst thing when we come to S.S.S. Tammuz this week, we have to understand that till now we came to terms with it somehow, and some way we came to terms with it. We have to know that we have to hope. We are not okay because we don't have the avoid in the Beis Hamikdash, we don't have the menorah, we don't have the shulchan, we don't have the lechem apanim, we don't have a carbon tamid. It has to bother us. Today is another day it has to hurt us. And says in the Nesivos Shalom, you know how the Beis Hamikdash is going to be built? The Beis Hamikdash is going to be built from our tefillos and our begging and our wanting of our saying that it's not okay. I'm not happy. I am not complete without the closeness that we had to the Shekhinah at the time of the Beis Hamikdash. And those, if we don't come to terms with it, and we daven with sincerity that the Yerushalayim Ircha, and we want everything involved with Yerushalayim, that until we have that, we're not complacent. Those are, and those will be, the bricks and the building blocks that build a new Beis Hamikdash. And that is what Hashem wants to see. Hashem wants to see that we're saying and we're thinking to ourselves, no, this is not okay. We are missing the great light of the Beis Hamikdash. And we have to know that it's during these 3 weeks, Avada, we have to think about Amaris Bavel, we think about it a whole year, we should think about it, but there are certain times of the year, like we said at the beginning of the Shir, Shoyal and V'darshin, that we have to ask and we have to speak about the Chag, the Moyadim. We have to speak about not just the Yom Tovim, the times of the year that are not Yom Tovim, the times of the year like the Tanesim, like the Chorban Beis Hamikdash. We have to think about it. Not only are these weeks the weeks of the Chorban, of the 3 weeks, we have to think about all the things that led up to the Chorban, the Sinas Chinam, in Adam Lachaveroi, the things that destroyed the second Beis Hamikdash, all these things, but they're all part of the Chorban. But if we approach it with the proper attitude, and we approach, like we said earlier in the Shir, at the beginning of the Shir, Yidden, we don't regret things, we don't get depressed about things that happen. Just because the Beis Hamikdash, we don't cry because there was a Beis Hamikdash and now we don't have it. Adarabah, we are upset because we want to have it today. That us being upset about the Beis Hamikdash with the proper attitude and the proper thought, they become not just weeks of Chorban now, they become weeks of building. We, yes, you and I, we are laying the foundation and we are beginning to build the new, the next, the final Beis Hamikdash by saying, no, it's not okay. We're not happy. We need more. With all the beautiful houses and all the beautiful summer and all the beautiful trips and Catskills and barbecues and everything that we have, it's not what we live for. We live to be close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and without a Beis Hamikdash, without us being in Yerushalayim, Yira Kodesh, we're not there, and we're never going to be happy. The more we are not okay, the more we are building. And that's what Hashem wants to see. Hashem wants to see every person in their own small way. You're going to get yourself a little plaque, or maybe a big one, in the Beis Hamikdash. Don't you want your name up there? It's going to say that you helped build the Beis Hamikdash. And you know how you helped? You helped by saying, it's not okay. I wasn't fine. I was longing for Yerushalayim, and I wasn't okay without it. Let's take advantage of the time of the year. Let's think about Binyan Beis Hamikdash. Let's think about being close to the Shekhinah. And when this S.S.S. Tammuz comes this Sunday, it will be the last S.S.S. Tammuz in Galus.